Start, then I'll start the lecture. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Okay. Good evening and welcome to this class. I would say that it has been an exciting journey with everyone to this day. Wherever, wherever the case might be so far, with the little learnings we have been doing, and then the little exercises we have been doing to also try out and strengthen what we have done so far, I could see that at least we are comprehending to some certain extent what is needed in this particular field that we are in. And given that with this exercise that we have participated on, whether you were the first, whether you are the last, it's not one matter. One matter that we are able to get in tune with what we are doing, and possibly we are able to also get one or two things. There is never a basis for weighing whether you are learning or not through this thing. The best way I even are able to imagine people who learn is by the portfolio activity that I've been given so far. So if you're able to pen down your thoughts, like personal experiences, so those portfolio activities are what matters to me more because it kind of showcases your unique abilities to do one thing and then be able to tell that story. And somebody can be able to hear that story based on your perspective. So there is no right and wrong answers when we come to those portfolio activities that I share with you for you to do them when you see them in my slide. So far as you can be able to do them, there is no right and wrong answer. It's your own thought process. It's you that can be able to say, this is what I feel like is this. And then some other person can, maybe due to experience, can able to tell you there can be something more to this. So given this little brief thing, I want us to delve into the remaining part of the Linux commands in the bash shell. That's the basics and the fundamentals and wrap up with it. Then on Saturday, we'll be able to do the practicals that come alongside using these Linux commands, as we have been doing also in the previous one, like the Linux command in the bash shell one. So I've done the two in the previous lection, and this is the third. So subsequently, we'll do the other one next week. That's the MySQL next week. Then I think that should be a wrap up of everything that we'll be doing with regards to my own side of the classes. All right. So that given. So what's the Linux commands in the bash shell? What are we trying to look at? We are trying to look at other commands that enables us to do more things when we come to the Linux operating system. Other commands that help us to filter out what we need. Other commands that help us to be able to diagnose, is it diagnose? Not really diagnose. Okay, to be able to get out the very thing that we need from a system, whether a breach has occurred or whether something has been tampered with in our system. We can be able to see them and properly get out those required information. So I think that will proceed to the next slide. Rafiat, can you please scroll down to the next slide? Okay, so one of those things that we want to talk about is managing authorization and authentication. Before we talk about these commands, can I be able to lay re-emphasize on the authorization and authentication of a thing? So I know I've taught you authentication and I've also taught you authorization. So Hello? I said if you can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up, please? All right, you can hear me now. All right. So thank you very much for that. So what I'm saying that we can't be able to talk about commands without properly re-emphasizing or revisiting this authorization and authentication. As a cybersecurity personnel, the major thing that you are after or you are also looking forward to is that who is coming or who is accessing a system and what are they trying to access when they are accessing this particular system. That is the importance of what we are trying to relate, the commands we are trying to relate. So we are talking on the standpoint of who and who is the person. How can we be able to identify that this person is a legitimate person that is supposed to access this particular thing? So how can we be able to do that? It's because of what? Authentication. It's only authentication that can tell us this person is actually the right person to have access to this particular system. And then it's authorization that gives us the ability to say this person, even though they have access to this system, they can be able to access so and so in the authenticated to have access to a system. But the person is not authorized to have access to a particular thing or do some certain kind of actions. The same way that in your home, in our various homes, everybody have what they can do and what they can do. There is a responsibility that is pertaining to your father, and you as a person can't do those responsibilities. As much as you try on whatever you are doing, you can't do those responsibilities. So, in the sense that you are authenticated to be in that house, you are a legitimate member of the house. There are things that you can't do. There are things you can't set the rules for. So invariably trying to bring our concept or to bring us back to this thing of authorization and authentication. So authentication is kind of trying to verify if the actual person is trying to have this system is the right person. Then authorization is what can they be able to do while they are on this what system. So when we now come to the Linux standpoint, if we are saying somebody is entering into a particular system or having access to a particular system, if this person is granted access, what can they be able to do and what they shouldn't be able to do? As I was telling us in the previous class, the slides that we are going through, there is something I was saying about sudo. Sudo is an administrative privilege that is given to you to be able to do some kind of thing as an administrator. So to make some kind of modifications as a person in using a system. So without that sudo command, you can't be able to do those kind of modifications to a system. So given that scenario, you as a person on a system, a user on a system, for you, even though you are not the root user, because the root user have the ultimate permission to do everything on a Linux operating system. But for the sake of being able to do something and not thing, we kind of use other users on a system. You don't log in into a operating system, the Linux operating system, as the root user. As any mistake that you make there can be able to what? Can be able to shut down your system, can be able to what? Bring it to a halt. So what we now do is what we call borrowing a word permission. We have privileges to do some certain work things. So when we do those kind of things uh, in Linux operating system, it can be said that we have been authorized to modify a particular system. So that is why we use the sudo command. Sudo command gives us the privilege to do the things that we are not supposed to do while on those systems. So when we borrow this permission, we are not authorized to do those kind of things. So authentication and authorization are the two key things that you'll be managing as a cybersecurity person. Why is that so? You'll be determined they can be able to do while on that particular system. You already see what I was saying about 5 permissions, all those permissions that we are talking about. it still boils down to what authorization that we made mention. So to say that a person like Rofia should have access to this particular file and Akindele will not have access to that particular file, you have already been able to define who does what and who has access to what while on a particular system. Are you all with me on this? If you are with me, can I get a thumbs up? If you have any concerns, you can raise up your hand at any time and ask your question. All right, Rofiat, can you be able to move down the slide? All right, thank you. So having been able to establish this foundation of authorization and authentication, what are the commands that will now enable us to thrive? To either say we are authenticating, we are giving some kind of permission, we are giving some kind of privileges for one person. So when we use this sudo, we have already gained the permission to start doing actual modification to a system, either trying to install an application, trying to add a user, trying to say who does what and who does what on it. So we have already gotten that permission. Sudo gives us that right, it gives us that privilege. Now we can now be able to manage other people's privileges while we are now using this sudo command. So when we use sudo, which is the thing that we are starting off with, we cannot be able to what? We cannot be able to do what? Grant kind of these authorizations and authentication. And one of those things that we can be able to do is what we call user add, ability to add a user to a system. So we can be able to say this person can have access to this system. This person can be authenticated. This person can be log into this system. So let's assume that there is a new hire in your department and you are the person that have been put in charge to bring in this person to the department. That is your role. So you are overseeing. They used to call it what they used which domain? IAM, right? That's IAM, Identity and Access Management. Yes, that's the domain that you are putting. So everybody that is coming to the department, you can now be able to do what? Assign them into the system, the general system everybody is using, so that they can have access to the files and directory and everything. So the first thing that you do for that particular person, since they are not already enrolled, the first thing you are doing is to add them, and that thing you are doing is a form of authentication. You are giving them the privileges to have access to your systems, network, or data. That means your company system, network, and data. So the first thing you do is to create a username for them. How do you do that? You use the sudo command, which is a privilege that enables you to give such a modification to a system, to do such a modification. Then you now use the command that is what in alongside the command that is called what? User add. So when you use the user add, then it goes like this: sudo user add. This is your Linux operating system. Sudo user add, that's the terminal. Sudo user add, then you add the particular person by name. So sudo user add the particular person by what? By name. So Fiat, is your screen still showing? It seems like your screen is off. Rofiat, it seems like your screen is off. Some people are complaining on the comment section. Are you with us? Hello? It's so essential because they need to be seeing the screen as well as listening to me. You said my voice is breaking. Rofiat, are you with us? Rofiat, stop sharing screen. Rofiat left. All right. And I can't explain this thing without you all seeing the slide. It will be looking like as if I'm just doing audio call. So it's a slide that reinforces the learning that we are doing. Should we keep this thing till next time? I think this recording should be cancelled if that was so. If I was not able to flash out this particular slide. I think this is the first of its kind since we started. God has been faithful though. But where is Rufia? She's off from the call and her slide is not showing up. So what are we suggesting? Should I move on with, I have it on my own end, but I think it will be very, very difficult not seeing my slide for you to better comprehend. What are we suggesting? Should we move this class to Saturday, I think?
Yes, Mr. Michael, since you said we still have a week, so we can still cover up within that one.
Yeah, I want to finish up this Linux this week. So by next week, due to my colleague is trying to recover, then by next week we are able to what's it called? We are able to do the
Sorry,
MySQL.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry, it was network issue.
All right. Thank you very much. You can reshare this slide if that's so.
Can you see this? I'm sharing it. Can you see it now?
No, I'm not. I'm yet to see it. So, as I was saying, if you want to add a new user to your Linux operating system, let's assume somebody just come on board and everybody, maybe you guys are all using the same kind of system and you want to add this person to a particular system. When we talk about Linux, we have enterprise Linux operating system, whereby all of you in the organization is utilizing one form of operating system that is running through your whole fleet of devices, right? All the whole operating system is running through your whole fleet of the devices.
Please,
So
can you see my
invariably,
screen now?
yes, invariably, what is just separating all of it is just the username that is on that system. If you have been following us through the course of this lecture, there is something that you will notice. What is that thing that you notice? You will notice that when we are saying home, after the root, what's it called? After the root, like root directory, we have the home directory. Then we have the users, various users. So when somebody joins the organization, if you want to add them, so once you know that after the home directory is that user, so that new user, for you to be able to add them in your Linux operating system, sorry, your Linux operating system. Let me show an instance of what I'm saying. If you come to your Windows, your Windows OS, you can have different users in your Windows OS. So you can log in as your own Amaka, and maybe your sister is at home and she's learning how to use a computer. You can create a new user for her. And anytime she logs in, she will not be able to see whatever that you did on your own part of the account, because our account is only specific to her. So that is also how organizations organize functions and users and the documents that they work with. So invariably, when you are entering an organization, you can be created as a particular user. So when you are doing that, what gives you the ability to do that in a Linux operating system is what the sudo that gives you the elevated permission. Once you do the sudo, the next thing that follows, since the person is joining your organization, is the what user add. So when you use the user add, it adds this particular user to your system. So when you say user add, who are you adding to the system? You're supposed to know their username. Let's assume we want to add Ophia to our Linux operating system to become a user. So what we'll just simply do is sudo user add what? Rofiat. So once we key in this command, we have already created a user in our Linux operating system by the name Rofiat. But remember what I just told you all previously. You know there are three types of owners. There are three types of owners. We have the users, user owner, the person that gives the ability to create one file, folder, or directory in a system. We have the group that that particular person belongs to, let's say the department in the organization. And we also have others, that means other people in the organization. So these are the three kinds of what users. So Rafiat cannot be standing alone. Rafiat have to be put into a group. Rafiat supposed to work in a group. Every organization has department. They have a particular group they belong to. So you have to put Rafiat into a group. So she will blend. She doesn't have to be an other user. She has to belong somewhere. So though she is the user, she has to belong to a group. So that group she has to belong to, we need to what? Give her that group. So how can we be able to give Rafiat a group? It is by using the options command. The option command is a hyphen. So we can do this while Rafiat is joining in our organization. We can simply say sudo user add hyphen group. That's G. That's the G. That's the thing. So we'll put her into a default group. So let's assume that Rafiat is joining the analyst group. So we simply have to say sudo user add hyphen G. Then what is it called? The group that we are putting her in, which is what? Analyst. And then the person we are adding, which is what? Rafiat, the name comes after. So that is to tell you sudo user add group, that is a hyphen group, analyst, then the name of the person we are adding, which is Rafiat. So what this thing does for us is it creates a user, it has a user by the name Rafiat and puts her into the what? Default group called what? Analyst. But let's assume that Rafiat is working in more than two departments or two departments. So how do we able to add her not just to the analyst? Let's also assume that Rafiat is also put in as a cyber operations person. That's it has to function in these two departments. But her main primary department is the analyst. But when we do incident response, we want Rafiat to what? To come in and act as a cyber auth. So if we want to do that in a particular system, we have to use an option that we call G, the big G. So with that, if we are adding Rafiat into our system with the user add, we can be able to say sudo user add the small g hyphen G. We'll put her to the default group of what? Analyst. The hyphen big G, we put her to the what? Operations, and then her name comes the last. So that's to say that we are adding Rafiat to the primary group. Default group is what? Analyst. An additional group we want her to also be in is what? Operations. Then her username as well. So this is if you want to specify everything once you are creating a group. If you want to specify everything as once, this is how you would do it. But if you don't want to specify everything as well, just do sudo user add Rafiat is enough. I will now be able to tell you how to modify and put users into a group when we come to how to modify a particular user's roles and responsibilities, like putting her inside a group. But if you want to do it, you are so sure about Rafiat's role in the organization or the group she will belong, an additional group you will belong. Just specify everything as one. Sudo user add hyphen small g, put her into the analyst group, which is the analyst, hyphen big G, put her into the operation. That's if you want her to be in any other group, then her username. You can specify everything as once. Are you all with me on this? If you are with me on this, can I get a thumbs up? You can see the example I gave there. Sudo user add small g, putting me into security group, and then Michael, that is giving me everything at once. All right, thank you very much. Rafiat, are you off again? Are you the other off for us? Please, we want this class to be going so that when we begin our practical by Saturday, we are getting. So another sort of command is somebody is giving me a dance up. Remember, you can always say something, raise up your hand, talk about something. Another command is user del. At times, if somebody leaves an organization, you want to delete them. Rafiat, you have gone past where we are. Sometimes if Rafiat leaves an organization, I know she will not leave our organization. If she leaves our organization, we want to delete her from the group. We don't want her to be part of our system. We don't want her to have access to our system. Simply what we will do is the same thing. Sudo user del what? The person that we want to remove from the system. So that is the way to do it. It's the simplest way. Then, if by virtue of her role, Rofi had created some certain documents in our system, if we want to delete not just her and the document she created, everything she did while on our system, we just have to put the option R. So we can simply say sudo user the option, that's the hyphen R, then Rofiat. It will delete not just Rofiat as a user, it will delete everything she created as a person while working with us. So we don't want to have access to everything that she created. But if you don't want to have access to anything if you want to still have access to the document she created, please do not use the recursive, that's the hyphen R. Please just simply uh, do the assign those documents to somebody else, then delete her from the user. Please do not use the option R. Once you use the option R, you delete everything about Rofiat out from your system. But when you just delete her as a user, she cannot add anything to your system, but her documents will still be there without the arrow recursive. Are you all with me on that? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get just praise? Felicia, all right. If you are not with me, you can always say something. I'm not, this is the way this class has always been run. You say something. So another such of command, if you are moving on Rafiat, you can move on. Another such command that also helps us to manage authorizations and authentication is the Rafiat, are you still with us? Is a user mod. Is a user mod. So that is to say that you can make modification to a particular authorization or authentication that you have done for a particular user. You can make modification. So let's assume when Rufia joined our company, she was an intern. Rufia was an intern. So her role was not defined. The group that she would belong to have not defined. So we just created for her sudo user add Rufia. So she was not belonging to any group. She was not meant to be in any group because she was an intern. So all over the period of time, we were impressed by Rufia's performance. And we decided to do what? We decided to, okay, we'll return her, we'll return her. All right, let's start from the basic role of just becoming an analyst. So what we just need to do is to modify the role of Rufiat. We cannot put her into the group, and that's what we do. There are three options which will be used with the user mod command. So sudo gives you the privilege. Don't forget sudo when you want to make any form of modification to the system. So sudo before the command of user mod. So the user mod will make modification to our existing user accounts and the kind of authorization that we have given them. So with that user mod, since we didn't add Rufia to any group, we can be able to use the -G or the either -G capital or the big G. If we are adding her to additional groups, that means we want her to belong to more than one group, apart from our default group, we can use the big G. But when we are adding her for the primary group we want her to belong to, please use the small g. So now we decided that Rufia will become an analyst after her internship, her well in performance. So what we just need to do is user mod -G, then analyst Rufia. So we have made modification because when we added her previously, we didn't put her to any group. So we can also put her to additional group. Let's just say we want her to learn more. Apart, we knew that she is somebody that is dual in nature. She has competency in two areas. So she can function as an analyst and also functions as an operation person. So let's put her in those two. So we can use the user mod -big G and then add her to additional groups. So that's about using those options. What if we decided that when Rofiat started up her thing, she was creating documents as an intern. So all her listing document was stored in internship folder. But now she has started working, want to move her to change the home directory. That's the place that she is functioning in the home directory. So we can easily change where her files will be stored. So we can put now Rafiat as an analyst. So we can change where her files will be, change her home directory. We just simply what? We just simply have to use the D. So we can say user mod hyphen D, then specify the new place we want our file to be. That's the file path that I have taught you. We can now say slash home slash Rafiat, then Rafiat's name as a user. Then with that, we have changed where her major file will be stored. It's no longer when she was an intern, all her folder was stored in an internship directory. Now we want to give her own form of directory. So we will use the D to change our directory. I know that sometimes this thing will just be like, imagine how is this working? How is it? It will work. When we come to the practical, I will be able to see that I explain everything that is on my slide, or I utilize it, everything that is on my slide while we are on the practical. I will show you how all these things are done. As I am saying it, that this is how it is going to be done. So the other one is we can decide to change Rofia's login. For instance, Rofia decided to change her name. She doesn't want to answer Rofiat in the company again. She wants to answer uh, Glory. So she decided she is now married. I don't know whether she's married. I'm just giving her an instance. She's now married. I don't want to go by this name again. I want to be going by the name Glory. That's the name that I as my marriage name. So simply what we just need to do is to what? User modification, sudo user mod, Rofiat, then that's the previous name. Then we put, sorry, the hyphen L, then we put the current name she have, which is Rofiat, and the new name that she wants to have, which is what? Gloria. So we can be able to modify the Rofiat login what? Name. So we just have to be able to use the word L to be able to what? Do the what? Change or the what? Modification. So another way we can be able to lock Rofiat account. Let's just say that Rofiat went for vacation, leave. We can simply lock her account so that nobody will access it and she will not access it since she's on leave. We don't want some certain things to interrupt or come into what we are doing. So we can simply lock her account. So how do we do that? User modification, sudo user mod, the hyphen big L, then Rofiat. So Rofiat can't have access to our account any longer because we have what? Locked it. So these are some certain kind of modification that can be made to a user who is authenticated in a system or who is authorized to have access to a particular thing on a system. So this is the kind of modification you can do to them, the basic ones. So are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your concern? All right. Thank you very much. All right. The another thing that is worth doing. Sorry, all those things that you saw discussed was on authentication. We are trying to authenticate or do one thing to the other of people who are in a system. Then what if we want to change access to some certain document that now authorization has come in? So what if we want to change who owns a particular document? Who owns a particular, who will have ownership of a particular document? Let's say that somebody created a document, but now they are leaving an organization. We want to assign that document to some other person to own it, to have it as their own. How are we able to do it? We use the churn, own, on a churn command. So we are able to do what? Change the ownership of a file or a particular what directory. So if Rufia had left our company and Gloria is taking over her role in our company, we want to assign every other document that belongs to Rufia to Glory. So how can we be able to do it? We just simply have to know the particular document we want to change whose owner it is. Then use the sudo change owner, put the name of the person you want to change the owner to, and then the particular document in question or the particular directory in question. And then we can be able to change it. So if we want to put Gloria in charge of the file, let's assume access.txt that was created by Rofiat when she was in the organization, we simply have to say sudo change owner to Gloria for the file access.txt. That's the simplest way we can be able to change ownership of a particular person. So Rufia will no longer have access to that particular document. She will no longer answer the owner of the document. It has been changed to what? Gloria. Are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? All right. Thank you very much. So Rufia, can you, sorry for using your name and Glory. Yeah, is to help about how it applies to what we'll be doing in our cybersecurity endeavor. So Rufia, are you still with us? All right. So
Yes, I'm
beyond,
with you guys.
all right, you have changed your screen. Uh, uh,
Oh,
uh,
can you see my
okay.
screen?
Yes, I can. So I want to still talk about something else. Beyond all these commands you will learn, these are the fundamentals. At times, somebody will say, "Oh, change the owner of this document." I know we have also done authorization, how to give permission to who have access to what document and what they can be able to do with the document in our last one. So these are the things you often see yourself be doing, especially at the entry level people into cybersecurity. This is what you'll be doing: changing access to have access to a document, changing this and this, changing ownership of a document, modifying a user, adding a user. This is why I am interested in all these basic commands that you will be needing. The advanced ones that you'll be needing is when you grow in your cybersecurity effort. You cannot learn anything at this stage. And also, how can you be able to learn more? How can you be able to ask those questions that you have within you? It is because Linux made provisions for what we call resources. Resources gives you the extra things, extra guide beyond the surface of what you have already done for you to access these things where you need them. So when you have questions, who do you go to? When you want to learn more, how do you get about it? How do you, if you want to be able to inquire about a particular command? Oh, that's true. I remember when we are doing this TEFEM program, Michael said something about how to change ownership. Or I've already forgotten. How can I be able to go there? That is why Linux has a compendium of resources. And one of those things is the online community. The online community. Through this online community, you can find a lot of questions and answers of people who have been asked it. So even if you just plug into the online community, your question that you even want to ask, somebody have already asked it and what gotten answers to it. So you can just simply go through what you want to do. So this is one of them, and if you get that kind of support with this Linux online community, and with that link there, the Unix Stack Hosting. This is the open source community where people get to ask questions and get their answers. So you can have access to that. You can click on it. You can go to it at any time and be able to what? See it out for yourself. That is on that community I'm talking about, Unisa. So beyond that, we also work as the word self-learning. Self-learning is able to explore courses, tutorials, just the same way you're exploring this way. As I said, I have so many resources I want to give out by the opportunity given as a Cisco IT instructor. There are many courses that you might not have access to apart from there on the surface level, but if you still want access to them, I'll give it to you and you can be able to get it. So those things are the things we'll do under self-learning. So self-learning gives you ability to explore things on your own beyond the basic of what you have done. So if you want to migrate, if you want to do more things, I noticed somebody was asking me something about using 600 in when we are trying to do permission. You are saying, why do we use numbers? And I was able to clarify that to you. So some questions like that, when you see them, where do you able to get them? It's because there is an online community you can go to ask questions. If not that, you can also explore YouTube resources and then Google. And then, of course, now that there is prompting, AI engineering, you can learn how to prompt. I don't know if I will be opportune to just teach you how to be able to prompt things, like not just about AI thing. I'm not talking about just AI, like how to search things on Google. Like I knew I was saying something on that. Research is the fundamentals of whatever you'll be doing as a cybersecurity. It will enable you to learn whatever you want to learn, to explore. So if you can know how to search, they used to call it search engine optimization keyword. If you learn how SEO works, you can be able to get the information that you need. All right, so it's just about you asking the right question. So if you're able to plug in, doing self-learning, you can be able to get access to that. Beyond the self-learning, you can utilize online resources for additional help and guidelines. So apart from you doing courses as you are now doing, you can also get online resources for authoring. That's the where you search and do other things. So this is about the Linux resources. But this is external. Can we talk about the internal? There is internal. Linux made opportunity for you to be also be able, the Linux operating, for you to find what you are looking for inside that command line you are. Rufia, can you go down to the slide? So let's talk about that. Inside the command line you are, you can be able to get access to what you are looking for, what you want to do inside there. All right. So that is the integrated Linux support command. That's what I want to talk about. Outside of the external ones I've talked about, the Linux resources, going to communities, doing self-learning, finding courses, then going to additional internet, exploring those options. They are integrated Linux support command, and one of them is man. Man. Any command you don't know what they do. Command you don't know what they do. All right, somebody is raising up their hand. You can say something. All right.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was, as it pertains that researching that you talked about, I
Yes.
was trying to research something like recently on Google, and for
Yes.
some reason that I don't know, they were just giving me search results as it pertains to only a particular geographical region. For example, the search is supposed to go wider to give me results from almost every part of the world, but they are giving me results as it pertains to only Nigeria. So, and that was not really what I wanted. What I wanted was far beyond. So I tried using DuckDuckGo, and it gave me a wider search. Like, it gave me both Nigeria, and it gave me other parts of the world. And I was like, I don't know the reason why Google was restricting my search results to just Nigeria. I don't know whether it's because my location was identified through my IP in Google. I don't really know.
All right. Okay. So, all right. There is. I can explain that thing. I don't know. See, I was some kind of person that was able to. What is it called? I did a lot of things in trying to find where I belong and what I wanted to do. So SEO was one thing I did, or I think I did, and all right, because I was also did content development. So SEO, in terms of SEO, there's what we call personalization. Google do it, personalization, to give you the best result because of what you are looking for. And then there's what we call localization based on where you are. So apart from personalization based on your activity that you do online. All right, for instance, if you go online and search for what is it called? If you go online and search for hotels, I already say hotels. When you go, once you have said hotels, okay, that's your first thing, and then it started giving you a lot of things on hotels, everything. Then the next time, you now we're able to type something on cool places to look out for in nowhere. So what is just invariably looking at is just like from the first keyword that you typed, is learning something. What is it learning? You typed hotel, cool places to look out for. It might be that this person is looking for a cool hotel that you can be able to. So those are the things that is looking like. So it's using both what is learning about you. Your previous searches is using all those things to help you to better refine the result that you get. I you get what I'm saying? So this is why. So at times that's why you receive the result. And another thing you also consider is what kind of keywords are you using in those searches. If you are using something like something near me, of course it will limit your context tonight. So if you have anything that your researcher is has Nigeria, or it has something that has to do with location based anyway and anywhere. So it will still tell all your research there. Then another thing is this: there is a kind of functionalities in your Google Chrome, and that you might something with regards to Nigeria, and then it is giving you something with regards to what Nigeria. So there is this kind of thing that you click on when you say where you want to limit or restrict your search to a particular thing. Maybe by mistake you clicked on it, and then it's called location. This thing I search, then it start giving you everything that pertains to Nigeria. But if you want to, this is a tip. If you want to get on field like searches that are not filtered personalized, and the best way, the basic best way is to use incognito mode. That's private browsing. So it doesn't have anything
Okay.
about your IP. It doesn't know anything about you. So if you want to get some people are doing research here. For most of you who are doing research here, do not use your Google to start doing. It will refine. It will do a lot of personality. Just go to incognito mode. That you are not signed in into any browser. Most even importantly, maybe just go that incognito mode. You are not signed in. Then paste what you will see the difference between the result that you have when you are signed into Google and the result that you have when you are doing your private browser. Just do that and tell me what you will notice in due course. Eh?
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll
All
try
right,
it
thank you.
out.
Okay. All right, that being said, so let me kind of finish or round up with what I'm saying. I know that we are 6 minutes though, we started a little bit late. So there is a command that gives you ability to know what other commands do. So if I don't know what COWN, and for you to have attended this lecture, you already know, oh, COWN, and they said it in our class. I can't remember what that thing do. There's what we call man. Man gives you ability to know what those commands do, what they can be utilized, in what ways, options that can be used with it. Like the same way we have been seeing me saying, use user mod. You can use -G. It will give you all those possibilities of what you can be able to do with that is obtainable with this command. You will learn more things. So for you to have that documentation, of course, most of us know what documentation are. A kind of manual, a kind of thing that have a comprehensive textual descriptions about the usage of one thing, well kept. And so the way you receive user manual, that is also how man works in Linux. This one is inside your command. You don't need to go to any community. You don't need to go and watch any con. You can be able to be right there in your this thing and type out man. Give me what this thing, and it will give you abilities of what you can do with what the COWN, not just the COWN. You can do it with every other command. Manual. Give me the manual of this. Another of such command is the apropos. It is used to searching for specific keywords. No, at times you know a keyword pertaining to something, but you don't know the command of that of what that thing do. So, like you want to give, you want to add a user. You know that it is to add a user that you want to do, but you don't know the command used in adding a user to a Linux system. Are you getting what I'm saying? You don't know the user, the way to add the user. You don't know the command, but you know what you want to do. So you can use apropos -a. This is a keyword, add user. So it will now bring out all the commands that enable you to add user to a system. So that is the ability that you know what you want to do, but you don't know the command that does it. So, but manual is that you know the command, but you don't know what that thing does again. You don't know how you can use that command. So when you use manual, that is to say you are man. You know the command, but you don't know what that thing does. But when you use apropos, you know what that command does. You know what the command does, but you don't even know the command itself. So it helps you to know what will enable you to do that very thing that is in your heart to do in the Linux operating system. And another thing is oftentimes you just simply want to know the simplest description about a command. You don't want to know the overall thing, like how man will give you every detailed description. You just want to know what is the simplest description about this command, a one-line description. So you just have to simply use the what is command. It just give you a quick one-line description about a command. So these are support commands, basic support commands you can find helpful before you start considering going to external commands like we did in the previous slide. So utilize them at your advantage and see how much better it would help you to navigate the Linux operating system. Is that all? If you are with me, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your concerns? Are you with me? Can I get a thumbs up? All right. Thank you. Just praise giving me thumbs up. I hope all of you are still following because you can ask your question. Rofiat, can you go to the next slide, please? All right. This is our class activity. I keeping this and the previous ones that we did, all those things that are in our slide. for the previous class and this one, we will be trashing out all these practicals, all this class activity in our next class, which is on Saturday. So by that, we'll round up. Have any other question? Be able to try out one thing, more things, bring in on. When you go through this slide, what I just want you to do, once I drop this slide, go through it, use Friday to go through it, get more things, get your questions ready. So as we are exploring things aside from what is in the practical, you can still ask some other things and we can try it like most of you have been asking, and we'll figure it out together. So we are all in a constant learning thing exercise. So we'll do this exercise and the previous slide exercise, and then we'll use it to round up everything that we'll have pertaining to Linux. And then I'll give you a portfolio activity that you'll also be doing to also guide or to help to showcase your ability to navigate through the Linux operating system. So Rafiat, can you go down to the slide? Is there any other thing there? All right, this is a key takeaway. Of course, authentication, verifying identity, authorization. So all these commands we have learned so far is to enable us to do one thing or the other when we are in tune with our organizations and they utilize this Linux operating, because that's what is utilized mostly in the cybersecurity space. So you can know how to be able to do one thing. So you are not restricted. Windows cannot allow you to do many things. So it is Linux that most organizations use in their infrastructure for regards to cybersecurity. So if you have any questions, I am up to take over questions now. So we are done for the course on this Linux, the basic foundation of Linux. So remaining our practicals, and those practicals will come in handy on Saturday. So if you have any questions, you can throw them on and I will answer them. Oh, okay. I think is it only for Linux and not Windows? So how to get Linux in order to access this? All right. So I said something about Windows. I said that Windows, they are unless something is for instance, I think what is it called? When you be learning with my co-facilitator, when he'll be teaching you all on what is it called? What is that network protocol network analyzers, something like TC dump. I think TC dump is for command line. And what is it called? What is that Windows network analyzer to? Who can remind me that Windows network analyzer to? I just run out from my head now. Windows network analyzer to is a popular one that is used for Windows and analyzing network. So when you go to that aspect of it, that will be installed on a Windows, and then you will be able to use it to do. But most times, all the things that are done in cybersecurity is done with the Linux. All these people that you see are attackers. They don't use Windows. They use command line. They use command line to do what they want to do. So that's why there was no much emphasis I laid on Windows, because it's only few things is GUI. So get used to Linux, because that's what is used in the cybersecurity endeavor. Dorian, does that answer your question? He said, is it only for Linux and not Windows? So how to get Linux in order to access this? Yes, you have to get Linux, but I don't say you should change your Windows. I simply told you all to get a virtual box. Then when you get a virtual box, you use it to practice. So while you can do other things with your graphical user interface on Windows, you can be able to practice your cybersecurity learnings on your virtual box, that's your virtual machine. So I already told you all how to be able to download the over file and then the virtual box, so that you can be able to do that. I don't know. Does that answer your question, Doreen? Can you
Yes,
give
it
me a
does.
thumbs up if that
Yes,
answered
it
your
does.
question?
Thank you.
All right. All right. So is there any other person? Throughout the course of our learning, I think we have done a lot more. Or should we wait for the practical? If you still have anything, you can ask it, as this concludes the topic of Linux, until we get to our practicals and see how these things will play out. So on our practical, we'll do those 4 exercises together and see how it plays out. So for now, I'm up for your questions. If you have any question based on what we have done, you can ask them. If that's so, I think we can call it a day. If not, we can call it a day. Odunak, I know that you will not have question. You're already doing cybersecurity things now. What is it called? Hannah, Chisom, Doreen, Deborah, Aziza, any person. If there's
I will have
nothing.
question. It's during the practical that I have question.
All right, so I think when we do practical, it will reinforce everything that we have learned. It will help strengthen whatever we have learned. So you will not know how those authorizations, how I would say, give permission to this person, remove permission from this person. Like that kind of exercise we did on Tuesday. I asked the question, people were able to figure it out though, and that was impressive. So when we start doing it, we can say, okay, remove ownership from Doreen and give it to Chisholm. So when we'll be doing that in the practical, just get ready. I know that I will also prepare myself to have power stored up. I don't know what has been happening to my power bank, laptop power bank for a while now. It's not picking up my laptop, so that's why I've been having difficulty. Though it's 100% fully charged, but it couldn't be able to power my laptop. But I think by Saturday, I'll be well off to handle those practicals all together, tackle your question. So please, the only thing you do for me is go through the slides, get ready, and we'll dive in. It's just more about command, 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 and command. So if that's all you have for me today, or we all have to talk about, I think we'll do call it a good day. Thank you for participating in the quiz. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking this journey together. God bless you all. Remain blessed in your endeavors. Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir, for today's class.